I'm just gonna press record.
Right.
All right. Well, hello everybody. Hello, whoever might be listening to this. I'm here right now with Dr. Lee Smolin. Lee Smolin's a good friend of mine who I met about 3 years ago here in Toronto. And I've actually known Lee for about 15 years prior to that without him knowing me through this book right here. Hold on. It's called The Trouble with Physics. I read this about 15 years ago in Korea, and I was enamored with everything that he wrote here. So I was very surprised to learn about 4 years ago when he reached out to me with a diagnosis of Parkinson's. And as you might be able to tell, he just woke up, or I don't know if he just woke up, but just yesterday he had a deep brain stimulator inserted into his own brain. So this is his opportunity now to talk to the world of people with Parkinson's about everything that he experienced. So first, hi Lee, how are you? How are you feeling right now, buddy?
I feel pretty good, but it's certainly not, this is certainly not waking up. Dina was just here, by the way. She sends her love, says hello.
Hi, Dina. Hi, Dina.
I was woken up at 7 in the morning for an 8:30 MRI, which is typical here in the hospital. But actually it turned out to be a 7 a.m. MRI, so it was worth doing.
Okay. So walk us through. So what's your first memory from yesterday? What time did you wake up, and how are the days prior to it? Did you feel like you were ready for what you were about to experience?
Yes, yes. I felt partly from time to time scared, but less and less. The last few days I began to feel real exhilaration, and some of it may be a letdown after a while, because certainly I'm looking forward to having less of the pain and less of the difficulties that I've had. And we'll see if that comes to be. That is largely dependent on the work that they did yesterday, which I'll talk about. But I woke up calmly. It wasn't, sometimes it's hard for me to get out early in the morning, and it wasn't. But getting there at 6 a.m. certainly took some will.
Yeah, I remember that.
Even more so for Dina. And then so what do I remember? We got to
actually hold on before you get into your memory of yesterday. Could you actually explain what your Parkinson's is like for you, how you experience it? And could you talk a little bit more about your theory about the chirality of Parkinson's?
It's on my right side, and right. Okay, I'm told to carry on. Okay. And am I getting antibiotics through the IV? Okay, thank you. This is Tasman? Tenzin, okay.
All right, well, you can tell her that we're recording this. I don't know if she wants to be on camera right now.
You want to be recorded?
Oh, that's okay.
It's okay. I'm talking to a friend of mine called Benjamin, who has been here before.
Yes.
About a year ago, I think.
Yeah, almost exactly 1 year ago, I was in your shoes, exactly.
Okay, and so...
Hold on, can you tell us more about your theory about the chirality of Parkinson's?
Yes, the chirality part is very important for what's coming. So I'm actually pretty good at the moment. I seem to have gotten my legs. Yes, I can dance around.
Be careful.
Be careful, she said.
Yes, be very careful. We don't want any accidents. Not right now.
I'm what's called being in the on state, which is a wonderful thing. In the off state, I can't walk very far without going into little push steps. I'm sometimes in pain of various kinds, which we're not going to talk about. And I get hot and cold flashes, which are not very comfortable. But that'll all come in the narrative. So let me jump into the narrative, because the other later. And let me also ask, you have the sky behind me. Is that good, or should I move?
If you can move a little bit or close the window, that'd be even a little bit better, but we can see you good enough, I guess.
Close the curtain.
Just close the curtain a little bit, and then I think we can see you a little bit better then. Okay, perfect. Yes, that's much better actually. Wait, can you close the other side as well? Yeah, good.
And did your wife come?
She did, and look at what she brought. all sorts of wonderful fruits and things to eat. There we are. That's much better.
Yes, yes, indeed.
In fact, I should. There we are. Okay. And I'll move to get.
Yes, there. Now I can see just
That's
perfect.
better.
Yes, much better.
Okay. And here is Dina.
Oh, hi, Dina. Tell her also that we're recording right now. So I don't know if
Dina,
she
we're
wants
being recorded. Is that it's okay with her? Do you want us to? Do you want to say hello? No, Dina does not want to say hello right now.
Okay, no problem. No pressure.
Well, we're introducing it, so that's.
Hi, Dina. Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. How you feeling right now? How much of that were you able to watch yourself?
I wasn't able to watch anything. They wouldn't even let me take him in the door. I got
Right.
to the patient, the pre-op clinic, and they said, "Thank you, we'll take it from here." I bought 2 hours of parking. I was back in 10 minutes.
Wow.
That's so good. I'm going to turn off the light behind me.
All right, no problem. Take your time.
Yeah, so I was immediately taken in at 6:05 a.m. And Dina was told she couldn't come in,
Mhm.
which was disappointing to me.
Mhm.
And it was a little bit of it was early, let's put it that way. One of the things that I have very few complaints, but one of the things that's mysterious is why did they want me here at 6 in the morning when the surgery was actually at 11:15 started? And the reason is that the first thing that I did was I had the box with the coordinate system, the metal box attached to me. And for reasons of some schedule, probably the doctor who did that, it had to be early. And I think they also just wanted me to be sure that I didn't forget and go to work instead or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a lot of sitting and I tried to sleep a little bit and waiting. And there's lots of stories I could tell about that, but I think let's go to the key thing, which is going into the surgery. So at some point.
Well, actually, before the surgery, could you explain a little bit more, once again, for anybody who might be watching, about the chirality of Parkinson's?
Yeah,
How that's important for the rest of the story.
Well, so probably as an act of control, because it's one of the things I've learned as a scientist is that your first ideas about something are usually not right. But in any case, of course, I've thought about what Parkinson's is and how it might work. And I have a theory, which when people come to me who are not physicists and they say, I have a theory, I run. Because I've talked to thousands of people with their own theory. Because I in the beginning, I thought that was part of my responsibility as a publicly supported scientist. But anyway, so I can understand how it might be for them, for this patient to come up and say, hey, I've got a theory too. But anyway, I have a theory. And it's related to the first thing that strikes a physicist when the symptoms are described, which is that they're all on one side at the beginning. And so why is that? Why is there a dopamine degeneration or cells that are unable to make or process dopamine on one side of the thalamus and not on the other side, which is just across the corpus callosum? It's like that far away. How can some condition be maintained for years?
Flush the IV, okay?
Okay, be maintained for years of being out of equilibrium like that. So in physics, there are ways to describe when a symmetry, and here's the symmetry between the left and the right side of the body, is broken. And that's called the spontaneously broken symmetry, pilot symmetry. So I'll come back to that, but for some time I've been asking all the doctors I talk with, very politely, and I get permission first. What first
As you're being stabbed. Keep
do
going.
you understand what Parkinson's is and why it happens? And second, you explain why it happens on one side and not the other. Now, as you go along, the two sides are supposed to equalize. And you can even see it in my hands here. The right hand even is fluctuating a little bit, and the left hand is not.
Yeah. There all seems to be more dystonia in the right hand than the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'll come back to that.
Okay. Also, can I ask quickly, have they given you your medication? Do you have it with you? Are you allowed to take whatever
They
you
are
want
giving
as well?
my medication, yes, every 2 hours roughly.
Okay.
um,
And you're still
more-
taking it orally, right? They're not pumping it into you through your IV there, right?
Oh, no, I'm taking
Okay.
one.
Good, good, good.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Treat him very well. I think you're actually in the
So-
same room that I was in. From the view that I can see outside your window, I think I might have been in exactly the same room about just over 1 year ago.
Okay. I'm grateful. The room is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very
Um,
nice place.
So when things move, start to move, they move fast. So let me try to just run down what happened. So at some point, the people talking to me in the anteroom, so to speak,
Mm,
are people who identify themselves as being part of one of the teams, either the anesthesiologist team or the surgeon's team or some other team. And so it's getting closer and closer. At some point, so the guy who does the surgery, so the head surgeon that I've signed up with is Dr. Hodai,
mm.
Marjorie, I think her name is Hodai. Tina, do you remember her name? Moshkan.
Okay. And how did you find her? Yes.
I like her very much. I like her very, very much. And she was certainly there and clearly the decision maker. But
Can I ask, did you tell her your theory about Parkinson's, or did you not go into that at all?
She was
For this
unimpressed.
time? Sorry.
She was unimpressed. She is what she said to me, because I was discussing different possibilities for where to listen and so forth. And what she said to me was roughly, this is not an exact quote, as are a lot of my quotes. She said roughly, look, for me, those are all bells and whistles. My job is to open you up, get these things implanted successfully in you and close you up without killing you. And everything else is detailed to me.
Rightfully so on her part. But I do wonder, does she know who you are? Does she know like your fame or your success in any
I
capacity?
hope not.
Okay, good.
She didn't indicate any of that.
Okay, okay, good. Good for her then.
So they wheel me. So what I remember is I've been wheeled in this bed a lot.
I'm gonna start the idea.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Or you might pass out.
I might pass out from the IV. I don't think so.
Okay, keep going. Keep talking.
But it's very dramatic. They don't mean it to be dramatic.
Scan your armband.
Which part did you find to be the most traumatic? Like as
Because
you're wheeled in and there's a whole like
I was wheeled into this room. There's one thing in the room that I can see, which is this sort of light thing, this thing holding two very bright lights, sort of here and here relative to me. And
Yeah.
so it's like coming onto a set. And there's nothing else in the room but me in this bed and these lights. And then very quickly, bunches of different people start coming into the room, each pushing a cart, because everything is on wheels with different things. There's of course, the surgeons, they have their carts, they have more than one. And the anesthesiologist has this bunch of electronics and this bunch of whatever, and dials and lights, and he's wiring me up from this side, and the surgeons want to go here, and there's some juggling for who wants what position on my left side. because they're operating on the left brain, which controls the right side. And then if I
Wait.
jump to the end, at the end, as things slowly turn off, and they're getting close to stapling me and sewing me up,
Go back to normal.
people are leaving, and they stop and they shake my hand and they say goodbye. I mean, Dr. Hodai is one of them, and the chief anesthesiologist, and soon it's just me and the guy who's still closing up, and all these carts and all these people. Not only that, before they disappear, they're talking about where to go for a snack or dinner or meet for drinks and where's the best beer. And
I mean, for them, it's just another day in
and
the OR, right? For them, it's just another day in the OR.
another day in the OR, yes. But
Yeah.
they're like, their friends come in and say, how did yours go? And ours went like this. And
Yeah, that's fun.
so it's just
Well, I'm glad to see that you kept your humor throughout it. I do have a question, more question about the pre-op part of this and the decisions that were made to actually put them in your left. I think it's your left GPI. Is that correct?
yes.
Could you talk more about why they made that decision for you, or why do you think, from your understanding, why was that decision made?
What Dr. Hodai explained to me in over several conversations is that she believes that it's equally good as the STN or something, the STN, as far as motor symptoms are concerned. But it's less of a risk, as much less of a risk, she said, as far as cognitive damage or emotional, what's called emotional damage.
Okay, fair enough.
And so and then everything else came as a consequence of that. One of them is that the GPI is significantly larger of a volume than the STN. And so you have to go.
And my understanding is it's also a much easier target to get at, because the STN is partially obscured, I think, by the thalamus or something else. So there's some other structure that's underneath, and the GPI doesn't have as much obscuring it, so it might be an easier target as well.
Which means because you also, of course, you're trying not to kill too much of the cortex.
Yeah.
Which you're going through.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. So I guess that leads me to my next question for you. As a physicist and as a human being in this world, how did it feel to have somebody operating on the very thing that makes us who we are, on your very human brain?
Well, it was. For some reason I wasn't thinking about that, although what was weird about it was that there's this world that I can see. So they have, although it went away, they have some sort of sheet or something so that I can't see back behind me, but I wouldn't be able to anyway, because this huge thing is locked to my neck. And it holds, and it's so ironic and funny because I taught pre-medical students. And when I taught pre-medical students, I made a big deal about the fact that the coordinate systems that they use in the physics book are relative and are fictional and are made up. But these guys really believed in their X, Y, Z coordinates.
Yeah.
And they spent a lot of time, and actually it caused some pain, which seems to have gone away, thank God. But the only really serious pain I had last night was I have a not very good posture, and my spine is sort of permanently not where it should be. And they tried to force it into their framework in order that the frame that they had built can fit into the coordinate system that they had invented. And I kept trying to say to them, first of all, I heard them mess up, but I'm sure I illusion that is mix up the values of the X and Y coordinates. I was going, hey guys, wait a minute, check again. But the other thing, and they did, and they got it right. They checked actually 6 times the values of the coordinate system of something relative to something. But I didn't understand, you're twisting my neck all out of face to fit into this coordinate system in which you've done your calculations for where you put your stuff. Why don't you make a coordinate transformation to the coordinates frame of my neck, and then you wouldn't have to twist my neck out of shape.
Right.
So it wasn't exactly a moment. I could
Right.
say that, but I think there's some irony there.
Yes. How long was your procedure? How long did the whole thing take until you were sewn up and back in bed, so to speak?
Well, back in bed took a while, which I'll tell you about, but I think it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours, in which, so the first thing of time that they were back in their working. So what I was going to say is that they're working on this thing. I hear their voices. I don't see their working. I was not given a monitor the way you are. And so I just am trying to keep track of what's going on by listening to them. And they're in another world. Their world, which includes the back of my brain, isn't included in the world that my being clamped down like coordinates is. So it's like there are two different worlds going on there. And somehow I just got numb of the pain in the back of my neck. And I mean, I asked the guy, just, are you really sure you don't, cause further trouble with my disc or something? He promised, and hopefully that's right. But
so there's no stereotactic imaging, but did they drop in the microelectrode so that you could hear the
oh
sound of the
yes,
TPI?
yes. And it was different stuff because it's a different location.
Ah,
But yes, they spent a lot of time actually doing various experiments, which were partly to make sure they were in a good place, or the place where they wanted to be, and partly were recording data because they said that they were getting things that they'd never gotten. So one of them is I was asked to do some simple physical things like bicycle wheel my legs with the thing turned off, and then do it again with the thing turned on. And when they were happy with where the electrodes were, there was a definite discernible difference, because I was much more able to bicycle wheel both feet properly than I was when they turned it off. Other tasks were seeing lights go by as they stimulated different neurons with respect to the optic nerve, because the optic nerve was there. And they were really happy because they said anyway, they were seeing things that they'd never seen before. So that was fun.
So that they actually told you that they had never seen this before in a patient?
Yes.
Wow. So what was that specifically? Like the robustness in which you responded to the therapy?
One of them was the optic nerve, the seeing light flashes.
But you were just reporting that to them, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
But
they said that they had never seen that before?
They'd never seen the person reporting light flashes when they stimulated in that region where the optic nerve was, if I understood right.
Interesting.
Other things, the thing they do when they do the neurological test, and they test your arm for this ratchet behavior.
Yeah, the cogwheeling.
Cogwheeling. So they did a cogwheeling test with the current on and off, and it was much different. It was really, my arm was loose and normal with the machine on, and turn the current off, and it got to be stiff again immediately.
That's a very, very positive sign. That I don't know, that tells me that they hit the bullseye, it sounds like.
Well, that's what they said. So they were very happy. Okay. And but the guy, I have to find out his name, his full name. His last name was Adam. He was a fellow, and he was fabulous. The way I don't know how to describe it. He was the guy who put the frame together, and he had a combination of there are things that probably I shouldn't describe, but I'll describe them anyway. I did the MRI stuff before the thing, and they didn't actually have a reservation. They just kind of snuck me in the MRI room. And somebody complained, said he's not on the list, and they said, this is a deep brain stimulation. This has priority over everything. And there was a little art. And later on, there were other things like that.
So I have a lot of like bigger picture questions for you. I'm not sure if now's the perfect time for them or if you have the energy for them right now.
Why don't you mention a few and then I'll sign off for now.
Okay,
And
sounds good.
with Dean, and then let's talk later on in the day.
Okay, so the big question is about how has everything that you've gone through, both with Parkinson's and now DBS, changed in any real way your perception of yourself as a human being and as a thing in the world? And then how has it changed your understanding of physics? Not physics per se, but the interaction between life and the physical world around us.
That's coming, but I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
But it's changed a lot how I view myself. And I don't know if you had the sensation. I would, if you described this to me 10 years ago and said, you're going to volunteer for this, I would have said, I am not.
Yeah, there's no
There's a
way
certain,
in hell I would have done this myself, even at the beginning of my journey.
yes, well, I want to hear the beginning of yours, but let me hang out with my dear partner and
Okay.
girlfriend and wife, Tina, and
All right.
let's just talk later in the day.
All right. So I'll feel free to call me back whenever you can. Send me a message and we'll talk.
Great.
But bye for now, Lee. Take care. And yeah, all the best to you and to Dina as well.
Right.